When I was a young man in my 20s, I worked for a local newspaper in Arkansas in America. And it was a very small newspaper. We had two reporters. I was one of the reporters. Anyway, it was very low quality local newspaper, Chiki Shimbun. But to make extra money, I had to work on Sundays, and I used to deliver the New York Times. So I would drive in my car with lots of New York Times in the back and throw them out. It was a fun job. In fact, I have a New York Times here. This is printed in Japan, um, but I used to deliver these, and it was very fun. Um, One of the funny stories, though, this was before internet was really took off. And what happened was the front. This is the front section of the New York Times. It's very quite thin. It's only about 16 pages. The front section was printed and used to fly in from New York to Arkansas. But the inside section was with all the reviews and the restaurants information and stuff. That used to be printed in Chicago, which was about what 700 kilometers north of where I was living, and used to come down by truck. So they used to print that on a Wednesday and drive it down by truck, and then the front section would fly in from New York the day before, so it was new news. And then my job, I would piece it together, put the newspaper together at 3 a.m. in the morning, put it in my car, and drive it and deliver it. Now you go to Google and or Facebook, and everything is instant. But that's how old I am. But anyway, it was a fascinating time, and to see how news was made. So today's little topic is about news and the news business, and what is news. It's a very complicated topic, but now ever so more important with coronavirus all around us. We get so much news coming in from Facebook, from Twitter, from your friends, from newspapers, from the TV, and it's hard to make sense of what is important and what is not. Trump says things like, "Oh, it's fake news, fake news." Fake means not real, but fake news basically means news that Trump doesn't like. It's fake news. It's not true. What is news? It's a difficult topic to talk about. And recently, I don't read the newspaper as much as I used to. I still subscribe. I still get a newspaper every day. I hardly, as you can see, this is a nice clean newspaper. I haven't read it. I looked at the headlines, but the thing is, does it change your life if you read a newspaper? If you know what is happening in New York, does that change how you behave in Abiko? I don't know. With coronavirus, it kind of is important to know what's happening in New York. Many people are dying. But does that change what we do? I don't know. That's a kind of philosophical discussion, which I will ask you in a moment. But I wanted to read to you from this book. This is by Charlie LeDuff. Detroit. Detroit is an American city which used to be the center. Well, it is the center of American car industry, but doesn't have much money anymore. And he's a journalist, and he talks about the problems of Detroit. But you can see he's very different from a New York Times kind of journalist. New York Times is like a Yomiuri Shimbun or I don't know, Asahi. It's the main news. But here he is. Look, there he is standing with his cigarette, and he's got a waistcoat, but he's a character, and I think he's kind of the new way of talking about the news. This is kind of the boring news, the NHK style news, supposed to be in the middle, and everything is true. Here he's saying, "No, I'm going to tell you what I think. I'm an American." And I want to read you just one little section from this guy. In order to understand that, we need some words. Here's my low-tech whiteboard. Okay, I'm going to read you a part from here. And he talks about something. We've got in labor, In labour, labour means work, and in labour means having a baby. It's hard work to have a baby. So in labour, having a baby. Hysterical, there's two meanings of hysterical. One, hysterical is very funny. Another meaning of hysterical is going crazy. That's this meaning that he's using, hysterical. Okay. Self-absorbed. Self, yourself. Absorbed, soaked up in. If you are self-absorbed, you're only thinking about yourself. Selfish, very selfish person. So this is a bad word, self-absorbed. Okay, workaholic, always working. Alcoholic, always drinking. Drinking alcohol, beer and wine and everything. These are bad, right? Okay, with these words, we will understand this little passage, and this is from a journalist, as I say. Here he is, Charlie LeDuff. I think he's really good. But okay, I'm going to read you a little part and see if you can understand this. Okay. Now, he used to work for this newspaper, the New York Times, but it didn't work out very well. Okay. My career with the New York Times died in the mountains of Vermont. I was on a story and did not receive the prior evening's voicemail until early in the morning when I arrived at the Burlington airport. The message was hysterical. Charlie, Amy's in hospital. She went into labor. Where are you? I didn't want to be that guy, the self-absorbed man who was never around for his children. I didn't want to be my father or my stepfather. It didn't matter that I was working on assignment for the newspaper. A workaholic is the same as an alcoholic when you get down to it. That's the life of a journalist. I recommend this book. It's really fun. Fun? Well, interestingly written. Okay, I got 3 questions for you. Okay, so the topic is about news. And okay, number 1. Where do you get your news from? Newspapers, television, Facebook, your friends. Where do you find out what is new? Number 2. Is news different from entertainment? Is news just gossip, or is news more important? And number 3, where's the best place to get your news? I want to know. So think about those topics, and we'll talk about it when I see you next. Okay. See ya.